Hi, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Stardew Therapy, where we talk about everyday issues and hopefully some parts of it is relatable to you. And you know that you're not alone in facing these issues no matter where you are and who you are. So today we are talking about addiction. One of our viewers actually submitted their problem. He or she mentioned that, can you help me with masturbation? It has taken over my life. And I do not really have such an addiction. So perhaps, I feel that this addiction could be more relatable if we look at other things as well, like smoking, gaming, drugs. So I'm going to just lump this all together as just under the umbrella of general addiction. And even though I do not have such a problem, I've seen such a problem happening around me. It's quite common where I grow up. Coming from a poorer area in my country, you have a lot of people who are born in a very poor family upbringing, a very poor family environment, and oftentimes, they end up committing such vices regularly. It's either they pick it up from their parents or they pick it up from their friends, and most of them, I would say, they pick it up mainly from their friends. I think smoking in particular is the most common one. And the people that I saw that managed to quit successfully from committing such vices, right? They often quit cold turkey, and I know that is probably the worst way to do it, because you're not treating the root cause, you are not addressing the triggering points. You will eventually relapse. But for those who manage to quit successfully, I mean, they have quite a strong will. But I would say that those rare fews that manage to quit successfully, I would say there are a lot of people who did not manage to quit successfully when they tried to cold turkey it. And I feel that at the end of the day, it will be much more effective if you look at triggering points and being more self-aware and trying to treat those issues first, instead of trying to just quit cold turkey and you're leaving your issues just unresolved. But this entire smoking thing is rather common in my friend group. Most of them picked up from their friends or picked up at work. And the common scenario is that I have this specific friend, and most of our friends pick up from, when they are serving the military. So if you didn't know, in my country, all male are required to serve in the military for 2 years, and my friend was a commander, and a lot of the commander, they smoke. Majority of them smoke, and by not smoking, you kind of will get left out. So for those who are familiar, who have worked in the F&B environment before, you would know, some of these people who smoke, they would, when it's time to take a smoke, everybody will step out, go to the smoking corner, and they start smoking. And it's a way to build rapport, to talk about life, talk about work. And if you are not a smoker in a place where majority are smokers, you're kind of on the back foot, People are establishing relationships. That's where you kind of like, become friends, you can gain favors through these kind of interactions. But you're not going out with them, you're just in the office or whatever it is. And it becomes very detrimental, because you can be potentially ostracized, outcasted, and even, when people are okay with non-smokers, the fact that you're not having this daily routine interaction, it might not be that great for you, because it is through this kind of interaction when you are when you're relieved of your stress, when you are in a very comfortable, how do I say, relaxed kind of mindset. That's where, people are able to break down their barriers and just be more vulnerable. And that's how relationships are developed, right? And when you're not in that kind of position, you can, your social standing, your position might not be that great as compared to other people. And hence my friend just started social smoking, and eventually, once we stopped serving the military, I think that become a force of habit, I suppose. A habitual thing. I think it took on another kind of purpose, such as a form of stress relief. And yeah, it's actually quite effective, because I think when I was in high school, uh, we studied psychology mainly, and there's a lot of research paper to write. And one of the guys who's the top scorer in our entire cohort, who scores like 4.0 GPA at 0.4, he says, you know, when you are writing research paper, when I get a mental block, I just step out and I smoke, and it kind of clears my mental block, and I am able to write better. I mean, then I think about it. If smoking doesn't have any side effects, I would have done it. But this is reality, right? There's always a negative health impacts, right? Yep. And I think other cases that are pretty common is also people who picked up smoking through social situation. So in school, there are a lot of times where you'll be out drinking with your friends, and drinking and smoking kind of comes hand in hand together. And when people go to smoke, you don't want to be left out, so you will go along and you will eventually pick up smoking from there. And when your family, when a lot of your friends are smoking, it becomes a norm, I suppose. It makes it normal instead of abnormal, and that is how it really normalizes things, isn't it? So speaking about this context, I think what you really interested in is how do you actually address this issue, right? I wouldn't say I any experience on it. I never dealt with addiction, and I never recovered from addiction. So all I can do is really give you some advice to the best of my abilities based on what I've learned, meditating, learning about mindfulness, studying psychology. So I think the best way to really address this issue is you need to start by understanding what are the triggering factors to masturbating, smoking, gaming, drugs, and all these things. Because is by identifying these factors, you are able to kind of manage it. So example, smoking or gaming. When you are feeling stressed, you realize that you want to smoke. When you are feeling sad, angry, you might feel like you want to smoke or game, or you might want to masturbate to kind of escape from the world, escape from the problems. So you need to be self-aware first. Identify, take some time, sit down and write down what are the potentially triggering points to such an addiction action, right? Once you identify that, it's important for you to pick up meditation as well. Just being aware of your thoughts, aware of your feelings. I feel that meditation is a way to build up your self-awareness, your mindfulness, and it's kind of like a muscle, you know. But it's a different kind of muscle. It's not exactly a physical body muscle, but it's more of a mental muscle. You want to build this habit where you are constantly building self-awareness, and when you have done it enough times, right, when you have observed your thoughts, observe your breathing, you eventually become proficient at acknowledging and identifying these triggering factors. Because these triggering factors, the difficult part about identifying it when it happens is that it is instantaneous. Because emotions are instantaneous, you get swept up in this whole tsunami of emotions that it's very hard for you to notice it. I mean, you will only notice it after it happens, right? After you start doing your action, after you start smoking, and realize, oh, I was angry. That led to me smoking. So you have to start by, trying to be present, trying to see and be aware of your thoughts. And from there, you become better at identifying these triggering points when it happens. So, when you suddenly feel angry, then you realize, hey, I can feel this urge coming up, this impulse to smoke, to masturbate, or whatever it is. And that's where you are able to bring it a step forward, a step further, by being aware of that impulse, being aware of it, and instead of acting on it, reacting, and being motivated by your emotions, you are just observing it. And once you observe it, for some reason, this whole impulse, this emotion kind of loses its effect on you. And that's quite interesting. I just realized. And I used to do that when I was meditating quite frequently. When you meditate enough, right? And when there was an angry moment that happened, And I just needed to just stand there, realize it, and just acknowledge it, and just kind of be aware of it, be present with that feeling. And for a while, right, it just disappeared. It just disappeared within a 10 to 15-second kind of duration. And it might take even longer. Sometimes it's not that fast. But just by staring at it, being with it, and not acting on it, it kind of loses its power, which is pretty interesting. And that is the magic, or perhaps the benefit of meditating in that sense, because people always think that, oh, you meditate to keep calm and everything. That's, I think, it's a wrong notion, a wrong preconception, or whatever it is. It's more of managing things and being aware and not acting on your impulses. So just by being aware, you are able to manage that. And you need to see it as, and you shouldn't beat yourself. If you are someone who beat yourself over failing to do certain things, you shouldn't beat yourself over it. I beat myself over a lot of things. And when you start out being aware and meditating, it can be quite challenging. But you want to see every instances of success as a step forward. So perhaps in a day, you might have these cravings and impulses like 20 times in a day. And if you're able to recognize one time, that's a success. If you can't recognize any at all, but at the end of the day, if you remember that you have forgotten to recognize it or be aware of it, that's also a success itself. So you have to start by, taking one step at a time. Start by noticing one moment, one instances, then start by recognizing 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Yep. And if you've forgotten to recognize any of it, and you realize you've forgotten about it, you can just sit down and write down the potential instances that, I'm quite sure you will remember some parts of a day where you are angry and whatsoever, right? So you can write down and see, when did this happen? How was it like? How does it feel like? And as you write down, you commit to memory, commit to habit, such kind of behavior, really reinforcing things. So that is one way we can actually deal with I suppose addiction of any kind. And this whole addiction thing is actually, I would say, it's a journey, because there are a multitude of reasons. I think whatever that I mentioned earlier on, these are very I would say mild reasons that are just very socially driven. But I believe many times this addiction can also be driven by childhood problems, internal issues that are very long-standing and impossible to remove. And that's the part where, when it's grounded by such problems, it's very tough, and you have to kind of take steps to manage those problems, right? If you are smoking whenever your parents are scolding you, when you're stressed out, when you have low self-esteem, when you have anger management issues that stems from your parents, how they treated you, all these things you have to just, I don't know, it's unfortunate. You are dealt these cards in your life, and sometimes, I blame myself and I really hate it. Why am I born this way? Why do I have such problems? And you really have to just accept who you are, accept your current situations. I think one of the most useful how do I say, I don't know, saying, theory, or whatever it is that I think Western conceptual, wait, how do I better phrase it? Okay, so this is how Asian conceptualize like identity. And the way Asia conceptualize identity is that, we are a blank slate, and you can kind of build things up from there, where you pick up good habits and all these things, and you're also a mishmash of your bad things and your past experience, and all these things come together, and it is up to you to control and manage your destiny in this case, right? And I think this is counter to what the Western kind of idea of identity, individuality. The way Westerners see it is that, I am who I am. I gotta accept that. And I think some parts of it is true, but at the same time, I think the Asian kind of conceptualization, the Chinese kind of conceptualization kind of brings it a step further by acknowledging the good and the bad, and we are not, as much as our current behaviors are influenced by the past, we also should see ourselves as somebody that can be molded, that can be improved, that we are not our parents, we are not like the leopard that can't change its spots. We can always change. And I think neuro studies have already cited like how about our brain can still change, can improve, can continue to establish connections and all these things. So we are not exactly set in stone yet, and shouldn't accept the current status quo. You can't just take it as, oh, I'm an angry person, I'll forever be an angry person. No, that's not how it works. You have control, and you should continue to work towards it. You acknowledge what you have and what you don't have, but then you want to continue to strive towards it. And at the end of the day, if you have made an effort to do so, you can just pat yourself in the back. And I know it can be hard. I myself, when I try to pat myself on the back as an Asian, I can't accept that. I can't accept that. It takes time. It takes time, and hopefully one day it gets better and you're able to just like, fully acknowledge that kind of feeling. And if you really need help, I think you should definitely, because based on what you have mentioned, it has taken over your life, right? Masturbation. You should definitely seek help. Find somebody that can actually, like a therapist that can help you through things. If you are in college, maybe there are free services, that like free counseling services, so you can reach out to just see what they can do for you. But overall, just keep trying. Never give up. I think that's probably the best I can give you. Yeah. So that's it for today, and thanks for listening, and see you next time.